This video is about how to use POI Factory. The first thing you have to do is you have to start out by typing the information in for your particular client. Now I loaded this because I save it for each client as every time I make a run. So this information is already loaded, but you'll just type in the information. For an example, you would type in the dental, and this is High Point Flats, so it would bring up the High Points Flat location or GMB location. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the POI tools, and in the POI tools, what you're going to do is you're going to load up your keywords that you want attached to these locations, and then you're going to add your anchor text keywords that you would like to have. If you were going to use the anchor text in say add it to a website or something like that. When you're in the POI tools, you're going to have two sections that you can select from. The first section is where somebody is coming to your location. So in this case, my son is a dentist, so people come to his location. Now, if I was a plumber, or you're doing work for a plumber or somebody else where they went on to, went off site to somebody else's location, you would click this, which is the starting point, is to go from your location over to their location. So I have that checked. You then can check either driving, walking, cycling, transit in terms of those directions. The way I do it when I'm first starting out is I like to do a search for a 1 mile radius. And when I'm working within a 1 mile radius, I want both the driving directions and cycling directions. You can do walking directions as well. I tend to do just driving and cycling. And then if you're going to use the iframe for anything, we set it at 800 by 25. And that forms a bit of a line that you can see and use as a divider line if you're using any of this in your particular websites. But we used to use 800 by 4. And Leon had mentioned one time that Google didn't pick it up unless it was at least 25. So I changed that over to 800 by 25 now, as far as my iframe directions are concerned. Now, what we want to do once we've identified this is we want to go out and have it will automatically go out and find the locations that are within 1 mile of this particular point. And for an example, if we were to go to look at find pin maps and it was at 1 mile radius and went out to find them, it would go out and locate all, these a bunch of pin maps that were within this 1 mile radius. And then you could turn around and send them to your POI tools automatically, and they would be loaded up down here in order to be ready to, make to be used for making your variants that you're going to use for Backlink Factory. So to begin with, I always use, as I said, everything. I go 1 mile around the business. Then the next step or next week, once I've used these up, because you may not be able to use all of them in 1 week, depending on how many keywords you're going to be using in Backlink Factory. but and you'll see that in another video I'm making. But I've now loaded that up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out and do a point-to-point URLs, and what that does is it finds 120 URLs that were around that location within a mile. And that seems like a lot. Let me clear that for a second and just make sure we got that right. I didn't think it was, it may have a carryover from something before, but let me take a look here at my POI tools. Yeah, that was, there was a carryover from a previous event that I did, so I apologize for that. But what you're going to do is you're going to hit your point-to-point locations, and well, it did come up again with 120 URLs. So, oh yes, that's because I had clicked both cycling and I stop here for a second. On my POI tools, I had clicked both driving and cycling. So if there was 60 URLs or locations here, it would have doubled that. So if I had clicked, you know, walking directions as well and hit the POI, what it would have, you know, come back with is 300 locations because of, you know, adding that all to the system again. But I'm going to clear that off just so it makes it a little bit easier. But wanted to show you how that happened. So anyways, I've transferred those POI locations over here, and I'm just going to click this off and use only driving directions to make this a little bit easier to understand. And so the next thing I will do is I'll hit point-to-point URLs, and it will go out and find me 60 URLs immediately. And then what I would do is I would copy those, and I'm going to turn around and I would paste those into my notepad document. I always create a notepad document with all the information I want about my particular client, keywords I'm going to be using for the Backlink Factory. But these are the variants you would then use in Backlink Factory if I was, you know, going to use these variants. And I'd simply type those in and copy them later when I do Backlink Factory. Now I'm going to delete those because I've already done that with my son's business already. So I'm going to clear this out. And then the second week or third week, depending on how many of the URLs you use, I would go in and clear this out, and then I would change my settings to 2 miles, and it would go out and find everything within 2 miles. And again, I'm going to, you could just hit the point-to-point URLs if you're doing this, and it will automatically do it. You don't have to go to the find pin map. So I'll just do that for an example. It should load that. Yeah, did not do that. Okay, we'll go back and we'll find pin maps first. So let's clear those out, and now we'll find the new pin maps for 2 miles. And it's going to go out and find the pin maps. And I'm going to send those over to the POI tool. And again, it always, you know, brings back 60 of those. And so I would then use that to hit the PO point-to-point, and it would return 60 URLs, which I would then copy and use over as my variants. Now, that's basically how you go about using this tool. Now you can, if you want to, you can add information. If you had a street address you wanted to use, you can add them in one at a time. But we find that importing the list either there or the next way I'm going to show you is the preferred way to do it. So once I get beyond the 2 mile range, which if I was using 30 variants in my Google backlink factory, which I'll show you another video, I would use, that would take me a whole month to use. I'd run the first 30 in one week on the first week, the next 30 in the following week, then I'd go to the 2 mile range and run 30, and then the following week another 30. But once that's taken care of, I'm now going to go out and extend beyond my 2 mile range. And because of the Google API for finding this, it doesn't work real well when you extend out in a further range. So at that point, what I want to do is I want to go out and I want to find the business locations that are further out for my particular business. And the way I do that is I go to find my map pins, and I'll clear what I have here out. And what I'll do is I'll go in and say, okay, I know I want to get out into some other areas so that I can start searching for pin marks that are not in this particular area. And what I'll do is I'll go, for an example, and I'll type on this particular thing as Sprague's Auto Parts. And so what I'll do is I'll go in here and I'll type in Sprague's, SPRAGUE apostrophe GUE apostrophe S Auto Parts, and that's right there. And now I'm going to change this to a 1 mile radius, and I'm going to find my pins. So I'll go through and I'll click around, because now it's going to find it around this particular location. Oh, I have to manually add that, sorry. Let's see. Rid of that. Yeah, so now we're going to find the pins, and it's going to be around Sprague's Auto Parts. So it's going to find these, and what I'm going to do is I will save those, and I'm going to set those up into, I'm going to save them into a, open new window. I'm going to save them into a notepad, and so I'll turn around, paste that in, and then I'll have this notepad. I'm going to call, save it as, let's say, Vanity Biento. I'm going to make it easier. Okay, I'll just call it, let's do set 1. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to change this to a 2 mile. I'm going to clear that. I'm going to change it to a 2 mile radius. And now I'm going to go out and find my pins again, but this time it's going to be in a 2 mile radius from the same, pinpoint. And I'm going to save those pins. And again, that this is going to be in, I'll do it in, another notepad document. File, open new window, paste. I'll do file, save, set 2. And you'll see what I'm going to do about this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to gather all these pins, because we're in such a distance out from my location, and I am going to put them in a spreadsheet and randomize it so that I have a bunch of pins that are selected randomly to, target for this particular business. So now I want to go over here for an example, and I'll do the same thing. I'll look at Queen's Nails, again, picking out a point. I'm going to add Zonic search and do up the road, and I'm gonna add, so I'll have that. Now I'm going to find my pinpoints to that particular location. I'm going to go 1 mile, and so now it's finding those pinpoints at that location for 1 mile. And I'm going to clear, or excuse me, save that. And again, I'm going to go to a new window. I'm going to copy that in, and I'm going to then go through and save this as set 3. Save it. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of surrounding, and then, excuse me, I'll do the same thing for 2 miles. I'll clear this and find pinpoints. And this time we'll go out 2 miles from that location. And I will save that. I'll save that as new window. Paste it in. Save it as set 4. And I'm going to save that. And now all I'm going to do with this is I'm going to go around my map. I'm going to make this map a little bit smaller here. And what I want to do is my location's over here. So I'm just going to start, selecting areas that are outside that particular location in order to grab more pinpoints. So I'm going to go here for an example with Muskegon Community College. Community College, right there. I think because I'm recording this, everything's a little bit slower for some reason. So I won't spend much more time on this. This is the community college that I want. And so I've now added that location. Now I go find my pinpoints. And it goes to, oh, now this is for 2 miles. So I'll just do that to begin with and then go back to 1 mile. File, and I'm going to open a new window and save that. Put it in here, and I'm going to go save it as set 5. Save that, cancel that, and clear that. And then I'm going to change this down to 1 mile. And again, do the same thing. I'm going to find pinpoints. And I'm going to save that. And that's going to give me save as set 6. Save. And I'm only going to do this 1 time, and you'll see why. Because what I'm going to do, and I won't spend all the time on this video doing that. But what I'm going to do is basically, I'm going to go and do this all around this particular location. As I go out here, I'm going to, be grabbing more pinpoints throughout here and all the way down in here, and, go out probably into what I know to be, a 5 or even 10 mile range. And I'm just going to gather pinpoints galore. And I'll have a whole sheet full of it, of pinpoints that eventually will be, 600 to 1,000 pinpoints. And I'll be using that then as I'm running my pins for, some time. Now, I'm going to stop this video here because the next video I'm going to show you what I do with all these pinpoints to set it up so that we can then use it in future runs for my clients. So with that, I'm going to stop this. So